How's it going, guys? Doug here, and today I have something that has been requested for a very long time. I'm finally going to be showing you guys what programs I use to record, how I record, what plugins I use, what DAW I use, and just generally how I set everything up. I apologize that it's taken me this long to get this video out. I've just had so much stuff going on in my life, but I figured this is a good time since I am getting ready to release a new Enemy AC-130 Above EP, so if you didn't know that, there you go. And keep in mind that this video isn't going to be anything in specific. It's just going to be, a general overview of how I set things up, some of the plugins I use, and then some more of the specific things like diving into, specifically guitar stuff or drum stuff or bass stuff. Those will come in separate videos later where I'll take each one of those and make a separate video about them. Like I said, this one is just going to be a general overview. So let's get started. Alright, so what I have here for you guys is actually a part of one of the new songs that's going to be on the EP. So this is going to be kind of like a little sneak preview for everyone. And keep in mind, this isn't fully mixed or mastered. This is just, I just basically cut it out of the main project file and put it into a new project file. And I did change a couple things from the original of how it's going to be in the song just to make this video a little bit easier to explain how I do things. So just keep that in mind. So the first thing I'm going to do is, well, first of all, you can see it's not very complicated. I have just a couple tracks here, some, bass drops, my drums, my bass track, my guitars, and then down here I have some MIDI synth and all that. So before I dive in and start explaining a couple things, I'm just going to play the track for you guys. You can check it out, and then we'll go from there. Alright, now that you guys have heard the track, let's just go ahead and dive right in, and I'm going to start top to bottom and just go down through and explain a little bit about everything. I apologize if I go quickly in this video, but like I said, this is just a general overview. I'm not trying to get into specifics, make everything all complicated. All the links to all the plugins you guys see in this video will be down in the description below. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to go through and I'm just going to solo out each track so you guys can hear them individually, and then we'll go down and check out all the plugins and everything. So up here, I have an explosion sample. And then below that, I have my bass drop. And then these two samples right here are the feedback and the reverse cymbal going into the breakdown. So there are those. And then we have the drum track. And then we have the bass track. And then we have guitars. And then after guitars, down here at the bottom, we just have the choir. And there you go. That's everything singled out. And now that you guys have heard that, let's go ahead and check out all the plugins that I use. So for my effects up here, I don't have really any plugins. Usually I'll just have some EQ on these. Very simple stuff up here. I'm not going to go into, too much detail on that. Pretty self-explanatory. This is where I think most people have their questions on my drum tracks, my guitar tracks, my bass tracks. So let's go ahead and start with the drums here. If I open this up, you can see here at the top I have Contact. So I use Contact, and the samples that I use are Steven Slate Platinum samples. Now these samples are pretty old. I've been using them since about 2012, I think. So about 8 or 9 years I've been using these. They are pretty old. They still sound great, but I would say it's probably time I switch to different samples and try some new stuff. But these have been working great for me so far. So that's what I use for samples. And then over here below that, I have some Joey Sturgis gain reduction. I just like the way that it makes the drum sound, so I throw a little bit of that on there. And then below that, there's an EQ here that you can see is not activated. This, I pretty much never use it. It's only there if I want to experiment with something or try something out. That's really all it is. So don't really have to worry about that. And then below the EQ, I have some Joey Sturgis bus glue. This is the drums version, and I have it on the tight setting. And you can see I don't have it set very aggressive. It's only at 20. So that's basically it for the drums. Nothing too complicated. So moving on from that, you can see that I have 2 other drum tracks here. This I'm not going to get into. You guys don't got to worry about that right now. That's going to be for another video. That's some more complicated stuff right there that I'll talk about in some other time. So moving down from that, you can see that I have my bass track here, which is also all programmed. This is all MIDI. And for that, I use Contact again, and then I have the Colossal bass instrument, and I use the preflex tone. It actually comes with a couple other tones, but I find that the preflex tone works best for me and what I want to do. It's more of a clean tone, but it has a little bit of crunch to it, a little bit of brightness, and I really like that because it comes through the mix a little bit. So that's what I use for my my bass instrument. And then down below that, I have this BOD plugin, which I'm sure some of you guys have seen, but I pretty much never use it. Again, it's just something there that I keep for experimentation, so don't really have to worry about that. Below that, I have an EQ. It's a pretty basic EQ. This is just the one that comes with Reaper, so it's nothing fancy. It's just a basic EQ setting that I have set up. It's just cutting out some of the really rumbly low end that just makes everything sound muddy, cutting out some of the high frequencies that have that hiss sound. Very simple stuff, nothing complicated. And then I have some more Joey Sturgis bus glue. This is the bass version. And this one, you can see it's not set very aggressive either. It's only at 20. And then I have it on the high plus low setting. And that's it for bass. Moving down from that, I have my guitar tracks. So you can see here that I have a guitar master track. That's what these 2 tracks are linked to. So I have 2 individual tracks here. These are both recorded independently. They're not the same track. Don't ever do that. It doesn't sound good. You definitely want to record different guitar tracks. I've seen some people do quad tracking where they'll actually have 4 guitar tracks. I find that for me, 2 tracks works best. So I have 2 different guitar tracks here, and they're both panned 100% to the left, one panned 100% to the right. So I have that, and then I have them both linked to this master track, which has all the plugins on it. So if I click here, I'm not sure why that's popping up, but get rid of that. The first one I have in the chain here is Pod Farm. Now, I don't actually use Pod Farm anymore for amp sims or anything like that. I only use it for like the pedals and stuff, basically all the effects. This one at the top, though, I just use it for the tuner. That's all I use it for. That's just my tuner. Below that, I have the ToneForge Misha Mansour plugin. This is actually a full-on amp sim, but I only use it for this pedal right here. I love this pedal. It brings out the pick attack a lot, makes my tone a little bit brighter, a little bit easier to hear over everything else. And I honestly just like the way it makes my tone sound. And you can see how I have it set up right here. I have the brightness up to 40, the attack at 3, the volume all the way up, and then the drive I only have at 5. I don't want too much drive on there or else it'll make the guitar sound too muddy. So that's that. Below that, I have the Pod Farm Tube Screamer pedal. You can see that I don't have it set very high on anything besides the tone. I jacked this all the way up to 100%. I just love the way that makes my guitar tone sound. So there you go. Below that, I have Crying Machine. Now this is my primary amp sim. I got this for $10. It's a freaking amazing amp sim. It came with all these different, heads. My favorite one's the Raptor, and then all these cabs. You know, my favorite one is the Avenger 412, but there's so many options on this thing, and it sounds amazing. It only costs $10. Again, all the links to everything I'm using will be down in the description below. So if you're looking for a good amp sim, I highly recommend this one. And you guys can see all my settings here. So if you do get it and decide to try it out, you can try out my settings. You can pause the video here and copy all of them. And then below that, I have this pitch shift. This is just the one that comes with Reaper. Now you can see that I don't have anything. It's not actually activated. There's nothing set up on it. I use this for automation. If I have something going into a transition where I want the guitar to, you know, down tune or something like that, that's basically all that's there for, is for automation, which is a whole nother topic for a different video. So we're just going to go ahead and go past that. Then I have another EQ here. Again, very simple EQ, very basic stuff. Just cutting out some of the low end that makes it sound muddy, getting rid of some of the high frequencies that have a really high hiss sound to it. So that's that. And then below that, just some more Joey Sturgis bus glue. Obviously the guitars version right here. I have it on the tame setting, and I have the bright switch on and the harm switch on, just like the way that makes the guitar tone sound. And again, this one is not set very aggressively. It's only at 12. So now to the last thing. We have my choir right here. This is basically down here at the bottom. I'll usually have any, you know, texture stuff that's going to be in the background, like a choir or a piano, anything like that. Any sort of loop will be down here at the bottom. So if I click on the effects chain, you can see the Nexus pops up. I use Nexus a lot, but that's not actually what's on this track. The choir is actually coming from, again, I have Kontakt set up. This plugin right here that goes with Kontakt, it's called Join the Choir. Now this plugin, I'm going to try to link it if I can find it again, but I found this years ago, and I think it was on a YouTube video. Some guy just made this and was just giving it away on a YouTube video. He just uploaded a video saying, hey, check out this plugin that I made for Kontakt. Just download it for free, you know, and have it. And I thought it sounded cool, so I downloaded it, and for the life of me, I haven't been able to find it since. So if I can find it, I'll link it below. If not, maybe somebody else out there can find it. But this thing is amazing. It sounds so awesome. And then below that, I have another EQ, just some standard stuff. Again, cutting out the really low, like the low stuff that just makes it sound muddy, cutting out the high frequency. And that's basically it for that track. And again, like I said, this is the Join the Choir plugin. This is not Nexus. I use Nexus quite a lot, but it's just not for this particular section. So that's the Join the Choir, and that's basically it, guys. That's a basic overview of how I do everything. And like I said, this video, it's not very complicated stuff. This is just showing you some of the stuff I use. And also, one other thing before I get to the end here, because I know someone's going to ask, the theme that I'm using for Reaper is, if I go up here and I go to my themes, it's called Rado Mod Black. That's what this theme is called. I know that somebody was going to comment it. Anytime anyone sees my Reaper theme, they always say, what is that theme? I need to get it. This is definitely my favorite theme for Reaper I've ever found. But anyway, guys, that's it. That's a general overview of what I do. If you guys have any questions about specifics, anything you want to see in a future video, like when I do my video about guitars and drums, go ahead and ask it down in the description below, or down in the comment section below, and I'll make sure I add it into one of those future videos. Like I said, I am getting ready to release a new Enemy EC130 Above EP, and I think you guys are really going to like it. You got a little sneak preview of what it's going to sound like here. It's definitely heavy. It's heavier than the last album that I released. A lot of people have been craving some heavy stuff from me, so you guys are definitely going to get it. I don't know when I'm going to have time to upload the new videos or make the new videos on tutorials and everything. It's probably going to be after the EP releases. But I have a couple other surprises in store for everybody. I can't really announce them yet. But until then, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and I'll see you guys in the next video.